Look at this slice of freshly baked pizza. Notice the thick steam rising straight from the bubbling cheese and the deep, blistered char on the crust. That is the exact standard we are aiming for today. The guidelines for this specific style were established in late 19th century Italy. They were created to honor the subject of this vintage portrait, Queen Margherita. From there, the rules were strictly codified. In the flag-draped narrow streets of Naples shown here, organizations established rigid, uncompromising benchmarks for what qualifies as an authentic Neapolitan pie. Most of us try to replicate that standard at home and fail. We pull something out of the oven that is pale, dense, and heavy, more like a flatbread than a true pizza. Fixing that outcome does not require a $1,000 backyard oven. It requires hacking the chemistry of 4 basic ingredients so they can survive the lower temperatures of a standard home kitchen. Those 4 ingredients are flour, water, salt, and yeast. For this style, you must use type 00 flour. Its exceptionally fine grind is required to create a tender, airy crumb. Next, we have to calculate the hydration. This animated scale shows the exact mathematical ratio we need: 500 grams of flour to 310 grams of water, putting us right at 62% hydration. Add just a microscopic fraction of yeast to begin the reaction. Once mixed, you knead the dough until it passes the window pane test. Stretch a small piece of dough so thin that light passes through it without tearing. This means you have successfully developed the gluten network. Now we wait. The dough requires a 24-hour fermentation process at room temperature. We let it rise as a single bulk mass first, and then divide it into individual tight balls for the second stage. That lengthy resting period is doing the heavy lifting. As the yeast slowly consumes the starches, it releases carbon dioxide. The tight gluten network acts as a trap for those microscopic gas bubbles, storing potential energy for the oven. While the dough ferments, we prepare the sauce. For the correct balance of sweetness and mild acidity, you need the specific variety shown growing here on the vine, San Marzano tomatoes. Keep the preparation minimal. Crush the peeled tomatoes directly by hand, add a pinch of sea salt, and stir in a splash of olive oil. For the cheese, authentic Neapolitan pizza uses fior di latte, a fresh mozzarella made from cow's milk. It melts beautifully, but it carries a high water content that threatens the structural integrity of our dough. To neutralize that threat, slice the mozzarella and let it rest on paper towels for at least an hour before assembling. By extracting that excess liquid and avoiding a watery sauce, we eliminate the moisture that causes a soggy, undercooked center in lower temperature home ovens. With the ingredients prepped, it is time to stretch the dough. Do not touch a rolling pin. Rolling the dough will crush the microscopic gas pockets you just spent 24 hours developing. Instead, use your hands. As this diagram demonstrates, you press down in the center and push outward toward the edges. You intentionally force the trapped air to the perimeter to form the cornicione, the puffy 1-inch outer rim defining the Neapolitan style. When you assemble the toppings, lay down your sauce and hide your fresh basil leaves underneath the slices of dried fior di latte. This shields the delicate herbs from burning in the heat. Every step of this stretching and assembly phase is an act of architectural preservation. You are handling a delicate balloon, ensuring the trapped gas stays intact until it hits the baking surface. A traditional Neapolitan pizzeria utilizes the extreme environment seen in this photo, a wood-fired brick oven burning at over 800 degrees Fahrenheit. To mimic that environment in a home kitchen, place a baking steel or stone in your oven and preheat it at its absolute maximum temperature for at least 45 minutes. Watch what happens here in this macro shot. When the raw dough makes contact with that 500 degrees steel, it violently sears, immediately bubbling and blistering on the bottom. For the final 2 minutes of the bake, turn your oven's broiler on high. This overhead radiant heat chars the top of the cornicione, creating the distinct black leopard spots. That sudden thermal shock is the trigger. The extreme heat forces the trapped gas inside the dough to expand rapidly, turning a flat disc into a highly structured, airy crust in under 3 minutes. Pull the pizza from the oven and finish it with a few fresh, raw basil leaves to add a peppery, bright contrast to the golden, charred edges. When we pull a slice apart, you see the results of our math. Notice the open crumb structure and the hot steam billowing out. The long fermentation gave us a light, crispy crust. The hand-crushed tomatoes provide a sweet acidity, and the drained mozzarella melts smoothly without pooling water. We didn't buy a commercial oven. By strictly managing the dough's chemistry and maximizing thermal shock, we bypassed the limits of a home kitchen and recreated the ultimate Italian standard.